guys, what we're really trying to do. You're gonna laugh, Phil. Somebody on my page said, "Doc, you're fat as fuck." So he's either a friend or he just got deleted. I don't know about your moderators, man.
Well, the thing is, when people say stuff like that, usually it's guys saying that, and I talked about that before. I said I would take it a lot better if it was women saying it, but a guy, like the guys today, Dr. Boyce, it just amazed me because I don't care if a dude's skinny, big, short, tall. I can care less about him. But we live in the day and time where men think it's an insult, a proper insult, to tell another man to suck his penis. I'm like, I grew up in a time period that a dude would punch you in the face for saying that stuff because it's like, man, I ain't no homosexual. What the hell are you talking about? But they think that's a proper diss to each other.
Well, let's get real, man. We're living in the age of the bitchy ass black man. You got a whole lot of men out here that never had a man raise them. They never learned how to be a man, and they are whiny. They are petty. They act like little girls, and you even see it sometimes, in the conscious community. Some of those guys I listen to, and I'm like, ain't you enough of a man that you can that you can do something more productive with your time? You sitting right here gossiping about people and getting all petty and wimpy and whiny and emotional, and it's weird to me. I don't understand it, because I had the privilege of being raised by a real man, Larry Watkins, who was he wasn't my sperm donor, but he was my father. And I never saw my father behave in a weak, punk ass fashion. Excuse my French. He never. My daddy was a Vietnam vet. He was a cop for a long time. My father has actually killed people. He was also a man he didn't have a lot of words, but he got it done. When it came time to take care of his family, you didn't hear him. The white man won't give me a job. It's too hard out here. And I never heard him behave that way because he would lose respect for himself if he would act that way. He knows we would have lost respect for him, And I think that a lot of men, that's why we created Black Men United, because, I said, some of these guys just need some guidance. Because really, manhood has to be taught. And you got a lot of mothers that think I can teach my son how to be a man. No, you can't. Stop it. I can't teach my daughter how to be a woman. I can teach her certain things, but I cannot teach her all the things that she needs to know to be a woman. So stop thinking that you can raise that boy to be a man because you can't. Not by yourself. You need some male mentorship, or he's going to get out here, he's going to be lost, he's going to be confused, and other men will make fun of him. So that's my 2 cents on it. But maybe I'm just
I'm all about the proof is in the pudding and looking at facts and results. And we have seen, just based off of we had the crack epidemic come in. We had a lot of our men taken out of our community. Not just drug dealers, but people that they call Caucasians who are on heroin and crystal meth. Oh, it's a medical issue, but we were criminalized. So when you have a whole generation of men taken out of the household for a medical issue like addiction, then they're herded off to jail with 100-to-1 rate on sentencing because it's crack cocaine. So you have all of the women had raised these sons, and now what you see today is the result of that. So if you was to ever tell me that, well, a woman could raise a boy to be a man, or she's the mother and the father, I'm gonna say you're a lie and the truth not in you, because the results don't back that up in the community. Because when we had our 2-parent household, or the father was just around, we saw the results of the men in our community. Because think about it, it wouldn't been no civil rights movement if we'd had the generation that raised the current males that you have today. And then now the males of the day, a lot of the times it's not their fault because they were just put in a situation, right? Like any child, they're not responsible for that. But at the same time, because they're men, they got to get with the program, get off of that, and get to being what they're supposed to be as men. And like you said, I had the proper example too, as well. Yes, racism is out there, and I was schooled on racism all day long. But at the same time, you got to get it for your family, and you got to take care of yourself. And I was raised, you're not a man if you got your wife and children not being provided for, you're not protecting them. Or, doing like your woman shouldn't worry about when she go outside that the car not gonna run or the car not gonna start. She shouldn't even be worrying about a car getting picked up, or insurance should, be paid. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. And then, they say, well, they want a woman to cook and clean. And a lot of men say you want a woman to submit. Well, if you be a proper man, she has no problem submitting. I can tell you from personal experience, you don't have to ask a woman to submit to anything if you being a man as you should be. And a man is not what's in your pants and what you do in the bedroom, but a man is all inclusive in what he has to do for his family.
You said so much. A couple of thoughts that hit me when you were talking is, number one, what we live is a community where the male and the female in many cases have switched roles. They switch roles. You have a lot of young ladies who grew up watching their mothers kind of do everything, kind of taking on masculine characteristics in order to deal with the fact that the man wasn't around for whatever reason. Again, we know it was systematic. It was done by racism. We know mass incarceration was a product of racism, but now you have a lot of very masculine women who some of whom would submit to a strong man, some of whom will never submit, some of whom bump heads with men, and because they're coming in, you got a household with two penises. And this is not an anti-LGBT statement, but I don't really know how that type of masculine energy confronting each other is ever really going to work out and create a nice, comfortable equilibrium for anybody. So I will say that you have the women that have become more masculine, and then the boy grows up with maybe an older sister or whatever and sees his mama kind of handling everything. Mama's saving him, mama's protecting him, mama's providing for him. So he grows up and he looks for a woman to become his new mama. And so the mama, and she accepts that role in many cases because she grew up seeing her mama kind of handle everything. So she's like, okay, now I got my little man. Now I'm going to take care of everything. And then what happens is that relationship does not work out because really you are literally, in my opinion, running in a counterbalance to nature. It's not natural for the man to be the feminine one and for the woman to be the masculine one. Sometimes it can work. I guess if you just decide, to remove your penis and hand it over to your wife, then that can work. But what I have seen in so many cases is that you have the woman very disappointed because she doesn't feel protected, she doesn't feel supported, and then the man is frustrated because he never got a chance to be a man, which is, in a way, he's like a lion who was trained to be a pussycat. So, at the end of the day, none of that is natural. None of that makes any sense. And that's why a lot of our relationships can't last. Last thing I'll say on that about manhood is, we know racism caused all of that. We know, here's the thing black men have still yet to learn sometimes is that these white folks don't love you. They don't care nothing about you. They will never care if you eat or not. They will never care if your children survive. They will never care if you can pay the bills. They will never care if you are dead, alive, incarcerated, or free. They will not care. And what we do, though, is we'll say, well, the reason that, even you hear moms make that excuses for their sons. Well, it's hard for him out here because it's hard for a black man. And racism it makes it tough, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we've established that. But that's not going away. They're never going to stop attacking you. They're never going to stop blocking you. They're never going to stop keeping you away from opportunity. So now what are you going to do? Now what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to crawl up in the corner in a little ball and start crying like a bitch? Or are you going to get up and find a way to make it work? Are you going to get up and survive? It's like think about it like this. Here's where we got the game jacked up, man. We got the game messed up. And imagine if LeBron James went to the NBA Finals thinking that the Golden State Warriors were his friends, thinking that the Golden State says, hey man, look, don't practice, you ain't got to train. What we're gonna do is we're gonna all score points. Everybody's gonna share. We're gonna have equality, and we're gonna share the points with you. And then at the end, everybody's gonna get the same trophy. If he came into the situation like that and not ready to compete, he would get absolutely body slammed. He wouldn't have had a chance to win anything. Same thing on the other side. But what we have to understand is that the way the racial game works in the world and in America is that it's always a competition. It's always the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Golden State Warriors. And the Golden State Warriors are beating us by 150 points. So when you're dealing with these folks out here that don't look like you, don't ever walk into the game thinking that they care enough about you that they're ever going to give you equality. They will never give you freedom. They will never give you prosperity. They will never, ever, ever give you power. So at the end of the day, if I'm a basketball player and I want to take the championship away from the Golden State Warriors, I got to practice harder than the Warriors. I got to be more prepared for the game than they are. I got to play offense. I got to play defense. I got to go hard. I got to get nasty and understand that they will never be my friends as long as I'm trying to get that trophy. So, black man, you have been eliminated from the competition. They done pushed you off the court and took off your uniform and put on a skirt and turned you into a cheerleader. You're a cheerleader. You're a fan. You're sitting on the sidelines because you don't understand the beginnings of how to play this game because nobody prepared you to be competitive. So stop whining that the other team is scoring more points on you and learn how to score some damn points.
And with that said, let me see if I can follow that. Now, the other option outside of that is some of them feel that, well, I guess I might as well be a coon because being a coon is safe because I'm submitting to the will of Caucasians and maybe it'd be a little easier for me. So you have a big uptick in cooning. And that really bothers me to see that, because to bow to the will of someone else. But also earlier you was talking about the situation with the men and women. Now you have the flip side to that as well, due to the fact of not having the father in the household and you having this hyper masculinity that do happen as well, just as much you have this feminine with the males. When they deal with a real brother, one that's not going to put up with that, they're going to constantly clash. And usually the biggest issue when you come say some brothers are dating outside their race and all this other stuff, they think it's because they're looking for a look, but really it gets down to being feminine. Because you know, the thing is, there's nothing wrong with being strong. We all should be strong people. Black people are extremely strong. For you being in this skin, you got to be strong, because if not, you're gonna be in a loony bin or you're gonna kill yourself. But when brothers are looking for women, they say, I want to marry somebody. We don't want to marry someone that can knuckle up like us and be just as tough as us. We want to feel like we protecting you. So you look for that feminine counterpart. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm going to lay back a little bit. And just this world, like you say, with the Caucasians has tried to just pervert everything. There's a reason God created us to be man and woman, masculine and feminine. And when the two come together, it's perfect. But when you have two that's masculine, that's like a freak. Or you have two that's feminine, that's like a freak. That's not how it's meant. But these folks tell you, oh, there's no such thing as gender roles. I said, maybe in your world, because you know you came from the caves, but we come from a family out of Africa, and that's the way we always reacted. Even to this day, you go to African nations, you still see that.
Man, you know, you what you just did, Phil, was you broke a couple of rules just now. The rule that a lot of black folks are being taught now, especially black women that are being pulled into feminism, or young black men that have been pulled into this intersectionality and all this other stuff that the liberals and the Democrats feed to us. The rule is that black men and black male masculinity is a violation to anybody around it. That basically the black male father figure who gives you that old school advice that your daddy might have gave you, there's no place for us in this society. Even if you went to the Black Lives Matter website, the Black Lives Matter website made no mention of black fathers, none of that. You know, husbands, none of that. It was all about either the women, children, and the homosexuals. You know, I'm not dissing any group in that list, but I think that we need to make sure that, you know, being a strong man, myself, other people, we need to make sure we saying, well, in our community, black fathers matter. Black fathers will never stop mattering, and we don't need our men to become feminized in order to fit somebody else's agenda. Because here's the thing, there's a lot of, unfortunately, because we talked about the men, we went hard at the men a minute ago. Well, we got to be honest and balanced on this. It's got to the point where black fathers are not even allowed to give advice to young black women anymore. Like that, if you just say one little thing like, well, you know, a man, you know, is more likely to want to marry you if you're a little more feminine. If you're not coming at him like another dude, then suddenly you're accused of somehow oppressing her or violating her rights, whatever. And all this is stuff, honestly, that the white feminists kind of put in black people's heads. These are all white liberal ideologies that came from Europe, and this has nothing to do with who we are as black people. And what I think that we have to do is find a way to establish a greater degree of balance when it comes to, having these conversations, because what's happening is a lot of our young women are just losing. They're losing because there's nobody there who's willing, who loves them enough to tell them about themselves, to give them honest advice, and to say, well, the reason that you are drop dead gorgeous and nobody wants to marry you is because you are an asshole. You think that being a strong woman means, pulling your penis out and dropping it on the table and letting everybody know that you're strong. And then what you do is you get on Facebook and they say, well, girl, a weak man can't handle a strong woman. No, it ain't about you being strong. It's about the fact that you are an ass. You think that strength means being loud and always trying to dominate and always telling everybody what to do. And that ain't strength. That is not strength. I'll give you an example of what I thought was strength, and this isn't a real person, but you can imagine, you probably know somebody like this. When I thought about like Felicia Rashad on the Cosby Show, again, another show that got somehow banned because of whatever happened in Bill's personal life. That's a whole other conversation. But yep. Felicia Rashad was a woman that was very, very feminine, a beautiful, feminine, just a remarkable woman. But never once in that show did you ever feel like her character was weak. Never once did you feel like that there was something wrong with the fact that she could get you to do whatever she needed you to do. But she came with a smile. She came with the grace of a queen. She came with softness in her voice and in her disposition, but she still let you know that she meant business. You lose that because there's nobody really teaching young women how to deal with things that way. So I really think at the end of the day, we just have a lot of women that are losing because they're not getting advice from their daddies anymore. And anytime a black man like you or I gets on a public platform and says, well, maybe you got to think about this. Maybe this might be better in terms of how you deal with men. Suddenly you get yelled at, you get screamed at, they call you, oh, he's sexist, he's this, that, and the other. No, we're not sexist. I got daughters, damn it. I love my daughters and I give them real advice. Like, no, the reason that man don't like you is because you're making him uncomfortable right now because you're acting like another dude. And I tell my girls that because I don't want them to grow old and lonely and unhappy and wonder why none of their relationships are working out. So we just have to understand the balance, and I think we've kind of lost that.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. When you said earlier about he can't handle me, see, guys don't get in relationships to handle you. I mean, you're not an animal. Well, I need to handle you. You're a human being. And so since you're a human being, it should be about, love and relationship, conversation. I tell people all the time, sex shouldn't be something that shouldn't be even rushed to. I'm not saying that Steve Harvey 90-day rule stuff, he an idiot, but because that's just not realistic. I know I'm a grown man. They got women that got needs too. So if you meet somebody, you do what you do, right? But the thing is that men don't need to be told what to do. That if you got to tell a man what to do, then he's your son. He's not a man at that point. And if a man allow you to do that, then something's wrong with him. I mean, a man should know, and I tell a lot of dudes this, when you want to get serious, you should know from the rip what kind of woman you're looking for, and you got to let her know what you're looking for. Because if you don't, it's kind of like a blank contract. If I gave you a blank contract with my signature on it, then you can fill in whatever you want. And then now you as a man got to meet those expectations of what she says because you gave a blank contract. It's not a negotiation. And even as black people, especially right now, you meet each other like Dr. Ray Winbush said, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. He said you need to ask him, how do you feel about Caucasian, racism, terrorism, and everything else to go along with it? Because if you're not willing to deal with that, we can't even talk right now because they chopping brothers' heads off.
Yeah, man. Well,
that praying that we do in our community. I'm like, look, pray, ask for strategy, and go act, do something. Because that's the thing. We got to get back to unifying our community, dividing on those things, brother. Like I said, when you getting brothers' heads chopped off and put on porches, that should be the wake up call. What more do we need to wake up?
Well, I'll say the good thing. The good thing about it, Phil, is I see a lot of black people who are waking up. There's so many people right down there in Houston where you at, man. I mean, it's so funny. Like, when you go to Texas, it's like you have. On one hand, you got some black folks that you just wonder if they even know that the Emancipation Proclamation has been signed. You wonder if they even know that slavery is over because they're so backwards. But then you got those really progressive, empowered black folks in Houston, man, that really do get it. That really, when you share them a message that's incredibly black, that's all about building. they instantly get on board. They instantly understand, and so I think that there, unfortunately, will end up just sort of being a divide between black people who are still trying this assimilation stuff, trying to be, or trained to be very passive, and you got those black people who are just tired of it, and I personally think I just look at that positive side, and I see so much hope in terms of what we can do, as a community. But going back to what you were saying about family and relationships, you really can't do that until you understand just what it takes to make families work, what it takes to make all relationships work. Even business is about relationships. So you can't go into business together and truly build economic empires if people are gonna start fighting like animals every time there's like a little beef or a little issue. So I think across the board, we have to really think about the fact that even though we know that the rest of the world does not love us, we must also acknowledge that we've really been trained to not love ourselves and to not love each other, and that's one of the things that keeps us back.
You're right. I mean, just from the beginning, we have been programmed to hate black. I do stories like this all the time, Dr. Boyce, on schools making rules and showing something's wrong with a black girl's hair or even a little black boy's hair. And when you have at that age, you shown something's wrong with you, then you have the colorism issue that still happens in America. The brown paper bag test still exists. It's just not on paper anymore. You can see that every single day. And, so some of the girls do grow up with self-esteem issues, probably sometime a little bit more than we do, because all the rules are targeting against them. They never get to see people that look like them on television. Then when you finally do see somebody look like you on television, it's scrutinized. It's said that, oh, well, that movie is so anti-white. I mean, it's the Jews and all this other stuff. Like, for instance, I'm going to do a video on this, and I'm going to let you guys know this ahead of time. The Black Panther trailer that came out, right? Now, if you know anything about the Black Panther comic, it's everything what I saw with that, I loved it, right? Now, there's some people criticizing it, but for the most part, I loved it. But when I went to one of these racist websites, because I do go to their websites, I don't know what them devils thinking. They feel that the Black Panther movie is going to encourage black people to radicalize and harm them. A movie. I mean, these people are crazy.
Hey, brother, what's funny, man, is that they've always used movies to control us, and to contain us. Now, as far as like how people feel about the Black Panther movie, I can say that first of all, I love Marvel movies. I think Marvel just they've got it right when it comes to making superhero movies. I watch them all. DC Comics, they mess up every Batman movie. It don't make no sense. They did all right with Wonder Woman, but they messed up Superman, messed up Batman, messed up all my favorite heroes. But the Black Panther, I'm glad that they're making the film. Do I consider it to be a big win for black people? Not really, only because, we know who runs Hollywood. I think that black people, in fact, instead of being mad about the way we're portrayed in film, we should be masterminding on how we can create our own stories and create our own images, right? So I was more proud of the creation of Hidden Colors by Tariq Nasheed than I was of almost anything else that I've seen in cinema at any level. I'm talking about more than the Avengers or Hidden Figures, like all of that. Like, to me, all those things are creations that other people made representing black culture, which people don't understand how risky that is when you're relying on other people to portray your community on screen. I liked Hidden Colors because here was a black man who got his money and put it together and figured it out and made a movie that grossed millions of dollars. That's a blueprint. That's why we're having Tariq come in as a guest speaker in the Black Business School again, because I'm like, well, show us how you built that. I don't really want to hear from the next Negro who got a job. That's nice. Good for you. You got a job. That's great. Well, thousands of black people have gotten jobs. But how many black men have built a multi-million-dollar cinematic empire? Not many have done that. And I think that's what we have to sort of have in terms of that balance, is to celebrate the Tariq Nasheeds above and beyond. I'm not talking about Tariq as a person. You can think what you want about him. I don't know if you like him or dislike him, but really as a filmmaker, I was incredibly proud of what he pulled off with Hidden Colors. Now, one other thing I think that we have to, understand is that if when you look at the Black Panther movie, or you see Hidden Figures, or any other movie where black people are kind of portrayed by a film company that's not run by black people, the reason I want you to understand how dangerous that is I want you to imagine this. Imagine if black people got $100 million together and made a movie all about Jews and Jewish culture, and we wrote the script, we did the production, we financed it, we distributed all of that. I'm gonna tell you this: I bet you anything that the Jewish community would protest that film to the point where it would never get a chance to be released. They would do everything in their power to stop that, because they would not want the portrayal of their community to their children to come through the interpretation that black people have of what Jewish people represent, right? So we have to sort of think about it in terms of reciprocity. We will allow other people to do things to us that they would never allow us to do to them. And I think that's what tells you that we haven't achieved any kind of equality in this society, and that the things we think are big wins are actually little wins that feel big because we have such low self-esteem.
Oh yeah, we definitely have low self-esteem. But when in relation to that movie, of course, it's fictional. But I don't know if you know much about it. I mean, like for instance, the city that they have is the most technological advanced, African city, and this is African city had no colonization of the Caucasian. And that's the thing about that one city, is no whites. And that's what they were complaining about too on the race websites. There's no whites in the movie. They hardly have any whites. It's like you talk about our self-esteem. Their self-esteem is worse than ours could ever be. If I can't watch a movie without looking at a person that looks like me, something is seriously wrong. I was also on their racist website. Let me tell you else how crazy they are. Dr. Boyce, if you go out on a date, do you ask a woman what race of men she's been with?
Not that I recall. I mean,
maybe, okay. No,
that's a normal. I think maybe I probably have said, like, have you ever dated a white guy? But I don't really care. I've never.
On the first date, have you ever said that?
No. Oh no. Hell no.
Okay. All right. That's maybe down the line or whatever. These jokers, they so insecure about themselves. I was laughing at their comments on the same website Dylan Roof was going to, called the Daily Stormer. That's the one I'm talking about. Them jokers say when they go out on a date with a Caucasian female, they have a little. They say they ask them what kind of guys you normally are attracted to, and then they kind of describe it. And then they start narrowing it down to get down to black men, and they were just complaining so much about how these Caucasian females go fool with a black man. And I'm laughing. Because not because about them being with brothers, but the fact is, these are the people that's portraying themselves as superior. I mean, seriously, they got a whole website talking about black people. We don't make whole websites talking about them. See, it's the okie doke that we fall for. That's what and that's what I try to do on my channel, is show the truth of everything. You're not who you say you are. You are putting on the greatest show. You like the Wizard of Oz on steroids. You got the whole world believing you the Wizard of Oz, but you that little bitty man behind the curtain.
Well, I would say that, when I think about sites like, what was it you said? It's called Stormfront?
No, this one is the Daily Stormer. That's the one Dylan Roof was going to a lot. Yeah.
When I think about sites like the Daily Stormer, I honestly see survival of the weakest, in the sense that these are among the most dangerous white folks, because what Dylan Roof did, but they're also kind of the weakest. They're the ones who are the most insecure. If they're with a woman that was with a black man, they're thinking about the penis and all that stuff. So they kind of sense, the way a lot of people do, that black men are superior in certain ways, and there's a lot of evidence to that. I mean, if you watched the Olympic trials and the finals of the 100-meter dash, there's rarely a white person in the finals, because the 100-meter dash is based almost entirely on your genetic capability. And we have certain genes that allow us to do certain things. You look at the NBA, you look at the NFL, we dominate in ways nobody else does. And it ain't just because we practice hard. I think that we have some genetic power that is just extraordinary. I mean, after all, we are the descendants of the survivors of the Middle Passage, and we survived the worst form of slavery known to man throughout all of human history. So if I was them, I'd be scared of us too. And I think that those guys on the Daily the Daily Stormer, as you mentioned, I think it's what it's called. These guys, they're mentally ill. I think most white folks that I know probably wouldn't want to go to a site like that. They wouldn't want to be a part of that. because that's very conscious racism. Most white folks, in my opinion, they practice unconscious racism. Like if I walk in a room full of white folks and I start saying the N word, a lot of them would really get offended by that, right? But it's because they're trying so hard to deal with the mental illness that has been injected in them from birth, which is white supremacy. So I think that subtle white supremacy, that unconscious racism, is very, very broad. It's not that often that the guys are really that conscious and that open. And I think that for these guys, I think it's that they're definitely scared. I think that they represent a part of America that is clearly a problem. And I think that when you see like a Donald Trump and the way Donald Trump won't really directly disavow those people, I think there's a part of a Donald Trump that really actually appreciates people like that, because they're saying the things that where there are some white men really thinking these things. Like a Trump might think it but not say it. These guys are going to actually go out and say it. So but I do think it's important to kind of know what they're saying. I think also for black folks, I think we have to also think about how sensitive we are to what they say about us, and focus. While we can pay attention to what everyone says, I think at the same time we should realize that in this race game, really nobody likes anybody. I don't think the Asians really like the Italians that much. I don't think the Italians really like the Jews that much. Jews don't like the Japanese. And I think everybody just kind of knows, like, look, you take care of yours, I'm gonna take care of mine. And black folks don't seem to understand that. Like we say, well, I can't take care of mine, Massa, can you take care of mine for me? No, damn it, you're a man. You're supposed to take care of yours. And I think that's what we're losing as a community. That's what we lost really with integration. White liberals took that away from us. I'm not a liberal or a conservative, but the liberals took away our commitment to excellence. They took away our desire to be independent, strong, and self-sufficient. And because what they basically said is, they said, "Come on, little pathetic Negro, come just sit up under my wing, and I'm gonna take care of you." And I think we should reject that vehemently.
Yeah, definitely. I preach that all the time, that we need to definitely do for ourselves. When you talk about the Caucasian is obsessed with us. He's not really obsessed with the Arab and the Muslim. I'm sorry, they kind of both go interjection, but they're black Muslims. He's not obsessed with the Hispanic community or the Asian community, even though actually he should obsess over the Asian community, because on paper the Asian community do better money per year than the Caucasian do. But yet he's obsessed with the black person. I mean, always obsessed with, like, if you really want to watch them, just say, oh yeah, well, we kind of doing this over here by ourselves and doing this. Boy, they get so offended when you say that you just kind of doing something, to celebrate the black community. They want to be involved with everything we do. They want to be everywhere we're at, but yet they say that we're the problem in America. Well, they are just, I don't know, man.
Oh, go ahead, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. It just made me shake my head. That's all. I'm listening. I can't stand them.
Well, let me say this. I think that the reason they are obsessed with you is because there's a mix of emotions that I think goes through the minds of white folks when they look at us as a collective. I think one, obviously, they fear you. Part of them admires you. Black people, we're the trendsetters. We're the cool ones. We're the ones everybody kind of wants to be like. I think there's also part of them that loves you, but not in the way that love breeds respect. They love you, but they don't respect you as an equal. So they love you the way they might love a dog. The family dog might be treated almost like a relative. People love their dog. White folks love their dogs, but
I gotta disagree.
What do you say?
I disagree with you, because they love their dogs more than they love black people. Kill a dog, watch how they cry. Kill a black person, they celebrate that.
They do, but remember, back on the plantation, though, you had white folks that really said, "I love my slave. As long as my slave knows that I'm the boss. As long as my slave," like how you had that lady, Paula Dean, who used to have that black woman that was next to her little black sidekick, who she called her soul sister, but she was disrespecting her left and right. And so in Paula's mind, when this lady comes back and says, "I don't like you," she's genuinely surprised. Like, wait, what are you talking about? I thought you were my soul sister. But the thing is that the problem is that a lot of times the love doesn't come with respect. So the reason I compare it to the relationship with an animal or a pet is because people might love their pet, but they know that their pet is not human. They know that their pet can't sit at the dinner table with them. They know that their pet is not an equal member of the household. And so I think for black folks, I think the reason that white folks get so upset when we go build our own and create our own is because it's almost like a husband who beats his wife, who said, and the wife says, well, I'm gonna move out, I'm gonna go get my own place. And the husband's like, what are you talking about? We got a good thing going here. Why are you leaving? Why are you breaking up the family? And she's like, because you ain't treat me right. And that's when you start having the conflict, right? So I think white folks are like, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to go be over there? Like, we're all Americans. You ever hear white folks say that? Like, no, there's no blacks, there's no white. We're all Americans, right? Because they like the hierarchy. I think that they like you by their side. They've had you by their side for hundreds of years. So I think the relationship between whites and blacks is deeper than, like, say, whites and Asians, because we've been here in this country as long as they have. So they're accustomed to us being there in a utility framework. It's almost like if I have a pet chicken, I love that chicken to a point because that chicken's gonna help me eat. I can chop his head off and cook it, and I'm gonna eat good. So I'm gonna take care of that chicken and protect the chicken. But I understand that the chicken is here to serve my need and support me. So if the chicken ever wanted to be treated equal to me, I would be like, no, that's just the damn chicken. So a lot of America really runs off of a dependence on black people. Black people, we do all the labor. We're the first ones to go out and get the jobs and do the work. We're the ones that filling up the prisons. They're making money off that. They make money off the athletes and the NCAA and all that stuff. They make money off these inferior inner city schools where they got a school full of black kids. They ain't teaching them nothing. But all these white teachers and all these white administrators, all these white contractors are making tons of money, hand over fist. So I personally think the Democratic Party, they use black people to get votes. We become their political fuel, right? So I think that they like us as a servant, but they do not like the idea of the servant becoming equal to the master. And I think that's where the challenge is in terms of our relationship with white folks.
Yeah, well, I said the other day in my live stream that, black people don't have three uses to Caucasians. And if you're not operating in these three uses, it's a problem. They use you for entertainment purposes, capital, and pleasure. That's it. So you speaking about doing for self, that's going to affect capital. That can affect entertainment possibly, because they only want to be entertained when they know they are benefiting from the capital. If you really want to piss them off, especially as a black dude, tell one of their females, I don't fool with Caucasian females. Boy, they will lose their minds. Well, why? I don't understand. Like, what's wrong? You don't like I don't want to do that. It's like I'm telling you, they have never really been deprived of black people. So you deprive them of entertainment, capital, and pleasure. Just watch. So the whole doing for self and empowering black people, yeah, that is a direct threat because they've been having a good thing going for over 500 years. They have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that as far as messing with white women, you brought that up. I'll just say that for me it wasn't so much a matter of trying to be disrespectful to white women or anybody, but my thing was there ain't nothing more beautiful on this planet than a black woman. When a black woman's at her best, she has something about her that elevates her above and beyond any other human being on this earth. And I know that out of love for my mother, respect for my mother, I never thought about bringing a white woman home to my mom. It never made any sense to me, But I think overall, when you talk about our ability to build for self, it's going to require us. I mean, the only way we can really get power in this country is if we build for self and do for self. We can't be the capital; we must own the capital. And and I think that owning capital is something that has to be taught. I think that we have to let go, slowly begin the process of really, aggressively letting go of this belief, this false belief that a white man will ever teach you how to be a truly empowered black person in this country. It's not their job. It's not in their incentive. It's not in their skill set. They don't have the ability nor desire to do it, and it's not their job. So what we have to do is really reclaim our community, reclaim our children. And I know if I was to have another child, I'd say, no, you're not going to educate my baby because you're not going to hijack his mind. So, I think that as far as, the way we're treated, it's not going to get better. It's only going to continue to be the same. It'll probably get worse. The more competitive you get, the more people start to undermine and attack you. America, the world will never be fair. Racism will never go away. White folks will never stop being white. They will never stop trying to derail whatever you're working on. And the challenge is, are you committed enough to keep moving forward? Because our biggest problem is that we are very self-conscious. So our feelings get hurt every time somebody tries to stop us from building something. We say, oh, every time we try to do something, white folks stop it. Well, here's a news flash. They're going to keep on doing it. And the more successful you become, the more they're going to come after you. And that's really a universal law. Any competitive person, anybody who is, say, a self-made millionaire, or anybody who's ever done anything great knows that rule. They know that the more success you have, the more haters will try to distract you. And the more the haters know that they can get under your skin, the more they find out where your Achilles heel is at and your weakness is, the more they're going to poke at it. They're going to poke at it. So I think that white folks, the ones that don't like us, the ones that really want to come after us, they know how sensitive we are. So what they'll do to get under our skin is they'll call us a nigga, or they'll go do something that where they portray us in a negative way or whatever. And what I have observed is real interesting, because Republicans really got this down. The really nasty Republicans, the Donald Trump types, they understand this. What I've noticed is that people who achieve power are very, very good at not giving a flying fuck what you think about them. They do not care. I mean, do you really think that Donald Trump and his old arrogant white male buddies up in the White House care one bit about what we think about them? No, they don't. They're not sitting around with their feelings hurt because we said something about them or made fun of them or called them a name. They're sitting there thinking, yeah, you can call us whatever you want, but I got the power right now, and that's the only thing I'm paying attention to. So I think that we have to we can learn a little bit from that and know that in a competitive situation, it's just generally nasty. You know, if the Cavaliers and the Warriors are playing for the championship, the Warriors would not spend 1 second, whining because LeBron called them a nasty name, or because well, it ain't fair that he's got all the good players, But that's what we do. We're trained to whine more than we're trained to build. And whining might make you feel better. Whining is it's like a drug. It's like you're taking the needle and you're poking it in your arm to numb yourself up and make you feel better about the fact that you're still existing in a miserable, pathetic, uncompetitive situation that is getting no results. So what I'm telling people to do is put down the needle, stop, fall into the temptation of whining, and instead say, okay, I got a problem. This ain't right, but how am I going to fix this? I think if we have more kids who think that way, then what you're going to see is you're going to see a real tough-minded, very nasty a group of young people, and I'm talking about nasty in terms of being competitive, and they're also going to have enough sense of self. See, a lot of times the reason people can hurt your feelings is because you don't know who the hell you are. You grew up as a black kid in a white society trying to fit in with people who don't like you, but the most self-confident, most self-determined, most self-capable people tend to be those who were raised in an environment where they were taught you are somebody already, and it doesn't matter what they think about you. When you get to that point, that's when you can begin to truly compete. And black people, many of us have a little ways to go before we get there.
Definitely, we got a long way to go. And what you said earlier about when you don't know who you really are, that's where they can really get to you. Because once you have a knowledge of self, it's nothing these people could tell you at that point, and you'll see the difference. That's why I'll say, oh, hope I'm a black person that one of them Caucasians call the N-word. Oh boy, I'm gonna cut on my camera. It's gonna be a roast session. They gonna want to fight me because I know everything to say to them to trigger them. And I can't stand even see black people want to fight when they call them those words. But also, you was talking about earlier about the women as well. And I was thinking about my little girl, my 2-year-old. I'm so particular about her image and what she see with herself. I only want her with dolls that look like her, and I make sure of it. Because she can watch something on TV and that's fine, but I want to make sure her dolls look like her, because if you just put somebody had did like an illustration, like they said the world in reverse, and it was showing like a little white girl and there was nothing but black dolls, right? At the time period. And then it was showing all the different images that children see, but they just did it where it was all black. And it's like, wow, you really don't realize what our children see every day. And even too, it's so funny that even the pull-ups my daughter wears, Doc McStuffins. Like I'm that serious with it. I really am. But I don't want my child to grow up looking at her skin color as like something's wrong with it, or something wrong with her hair. No, I just don't play that, and people don't agree with it. I can care less. I'm raising my child where I want to raise my child. Very, very Afrocentric.
Mm.
Very, very Afrocentric. Because
Absolutely.
that's our problem. We try to raise our children how, like LeVar Ball, talking about children. I just saw a video of that brother, and he was talking about how he disciplined his kids. But I'm gonna do a whole live stream on that. Them people can't stand a family. They can't stand a black man running his house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They hate that.
Well, go ahead. Go, please continue.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
No, you're right, though. You're right. I mean, LeVar Ball is a little unique. He's an eccentric kind of guy. But you're absolutely correct. It goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, that there is a consistent, continuous effort to exterminate the black male. The black male is America's cockroach. They don't want you heading your family. They don't want your family intact. They don't want you as a leader in your community. They don't want you intelligent and educated. They don't want you to be competitive. And this just goes back. Claude Anderson just writes about how that was a plan from 300-400 years ago. So when you see a LeVar Ball, a strong father figure who says, I discipline my kids, I spank my kids, etc., what you see is you'll see the white media kind of finding a way to demonize him, just as a strong black father figure, the same way they would demonize like James Evans from Good Times. You know what I mean? Like there's something about the black male masculinity in full effect that causes them to want to counterattack. So you saw when LeVar Ball was talking about how he spanked his sons. They talked about that dude like he had molested one of his children.
It pissed me off. I got so angry.
Yeah, is it confirmed that he spanked him? Is it really true? Did you? Yeah. Well, he tried to backpedal, but blah blah. But he had already said it. I'm like, what? Wait, did he? Wait, did he? What? He raped somebody? Is that what y'all? What? Oh, he spanked his child. Well, here's a news flash. I got spankings when I was little. Ain't nothing. Sometimes some of these little kids need to get whooped. Look at these little white kids in the grocery store. Cussing out your mama, throwing boxes of cereal out in the aisle, smacking your parents, doing all this crazy stuff. Maybe if y'all spanked some of your kids wouldn't be out here acting a damn fool, getting hooked on heroin at 15 years old. I mean, really, like imagine if we sat around and really told the truth about how a lot of white people raise their kids, the way they talk about the way we raise our kids. My belief is, look, let it go. Just, okay, we doing our thing over here. You do your thing over there. You do the white thing. We'll do the black thing. We'll still come together. We're still cool. But stop scrutinizing us as if somehow we are just a dysfunctional group of people and that everything we do that is not consistent with what you do must somehow be incorrect and flawed. Like, because that's the thing. Here's the thing. White folks been doing this for 400, 500, 1,000 years. They will go to, they would do it. They go to Africa. They hand you a Bible and a ham sandwich or something, and they pretty much, their goal was, they said, look, we want to make you better. So the way they felt that they could make you better was making you more like them. Making you more in their image. And until you match their image, you were defined to be inferior. And I think that black people have to really reject that, because that assimilation leads to the loss of your sense of self. The extreme insecurity that makes us into a pack of cowards, because you can't fight white supremacy if you don't know who you are and if you're afraid of the people who support white supremacy. Because the first thing that system's going to do is it's going to start punishing you and labeling you and taking things away from you. So it's going to take your money. So you got to be economically fortified. They're going to try to take your esteem by talking bad about you. So you got to have a strong sense of self. They might take your fancy title away or whatever, when you won't get any of these awards and all these other little trinkets that allow you to feel like you're somebody. So in order to go into battle, you have to have armor. And the various forms of armor, most of it is psychological armor, spiritual armor, economic armor, maybe some political armor, social armor, etc. So that when they throw those darts at you and start taking you down, they take away the corner office, they take away the big salary, they take away the awards and fancy titles that you need. They start taking things, they start talking bad about you, taking away your reputation. When that happens, you're able to withstand that. I can tell you, I'll say this, I'm going to shut up. But I've had a lot of battles with white supremacy. I remember in 2007 when Bill O'Reilly spent a whole week saying things about me that were not true on Fox News, working as hard as he could to get me fired from Syracuse University. And it's very frustrating to hear somebody say all these things about you in front of millions of people that just were not true. And so my reputation was ruined. I was my job was in jeopardy. I sure as hell didn't get any raises or promotions from that university because they were like, well, we're not going to do this because this guy's bad and he's this and this. And what saved me was I had somewhere to go. I was able to reiterate that, you know what, I was somebody before these white folks let me come teach at their school. I can, I don't need your money. I'm a man. I can go out here and earn money because I'm gonna learn how to be an entrepreneur. I don't really need your fancy awards and titles and big offices because I can go build everything you give to me. I can go give to myself. Everything you build for me, I can build for myself. And I think that the black man must be instilled with that at an early age because white supremacy is going to come at you in your most sensitive spots. So you got to be prepared for battle.
Well, the question I have, hearing you say that, if everything you said Bill O'Reilly said about you was false, correct?
Well, not every single thing, but the bad stuff, yeah, pretty much. But you know how Fox News is.
Well, no. What did he say that was false?
Well, it was almost. Well, first of all, he kept calling me a racist, which isn't true. I don't hate anybody. I hate is a heavy emotion to carry around, so I don't spend my time hating people. He also, what was it? He showed, like Fox. What they'll do is they'll do things that are misleading. Like he would show this clip of me talking. I was wearing all black, and they made the screen really dark. Because Fox literally does that. They'll distort the way you look to make you look like more villainous and more scary. And there was no audio, so you couldn't hear what I was talking about. But there would just be this image of a black man in a dark suit with an angry face, just talking. And really, what's interesting is that he didn't actually go to any substance in terms of like making any arguments against what I was saying. It was more so like this guy is a bad person because I said so. So it was kind of like a political attack. That's how political attacks work. They avoid the issues and they just sort of attack you personally and sort of create, this image that works to their advantage. So I understand it more now than I did then. Back then I didn't get it because I thought the world was fair and that people should, or I thought maybe I don't know, that maybe it could be that the world should be fair and that people were going to like give you a fair shot or hear you out. But now I know better. Now I know that's how politics works and it is what it is.
Man, let me tell you what, I wish Fox News would talk about me like that because I would sue them and win. Because if he was calling me on his program saying, well, Philip's a racist, I say the first thing I'm going to do is send legal paperwork to Fox News. If you got proof of me promoting myself and my race as superior to others, because that's what a racist is, then prove that. If you showing me in black clothes and you saying I'm a bad person, you need proof of that. If either shut the hell up or pay me some money. Because I'm not going to put up with that from them. And you should have went to a lawsuit on that. Because that's ruining your reputation to ruin you to spend to provide for yourself. That's a lawsuit.
You're probably right. And I'll admit, I've never been a person to think as much in legal terms. I kind of have an issue with lawyers. A lot of these lawyers, they just suck up your money and all that. But
some of them do. And then you got some good lawyers out there that would do the best for you. You just got to find the right ones, like a relationship. You got good women, you got bad ones. Just got to find the right one.
Yeah, well, I think it's funny because at that time, when I was at Syracuse, I had a lot of grounds to sue a lot of people. I definitely could have sued the university. And I think they were afraid of that. I think that what bothered me was I didn't want to be tied up in a lawsuit for a long time when I felt like I just had better work to do. I had other things to, take care of in the community. And so I just kind of ended up walking away from it. And I raised a little hell. I raised a lot of hell, and as a result, they hired a lot of black folks. And that's what I wanted. I wanted other black folks who needed jobs to get jobs, but I didn't want to need a job anymore. I did not need a job, and I did not want to need a job. My belief is that a black man is happiest when he's free. A black man is happiest when you work for yourself. And that's why that's the gospel I carry to black men around the world is that, look, man, you can do this. Stop. Don't let them make you think you're a child. You can do this. You just got to go pick up a book and go learn it. Go talk to people who know how to do it. The blueprint's out there. Why would you allow yourself to be subordinated to another man? That's not natural, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. And I just think our brothers just need some confidence. The same thing with the women too. I think women need support. I think some of the black men, the way I see black men treating black women in our community sometimes it just disgusts me. It's atrocious. It's horrible. I think that black women they also need our protection. I think that they want to be proud of us. I'm talking about the good sisters. I'm not talking about the ones who are messed up in the head, because there's a few of them out there. But the good sisters, I think they want to believe in something. They want to believe in us. And I think it's up to us to step up to the plate and become the men that they can believe in. And if you want to know, so if you want to know my whole agenda, there it is, man. You just, like I said, make Black America great again. Hey,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
that's
getting
it.
the look. I'm getting the look saying that it's time for me to go. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. With the shoe, like I said, we had a good talk. Shoot, it's been about I'm looking at the timer here, about 58 minutes. But you want to let anyone know what else you got going on, Dr. Watkins, before we wrap this up?
yeah, man. A couple of things. Number one, if people want to get a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, and also a free lesson on how to start their wealth building journey, they can actually go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. Also, we have the Black Wealth Boot Camp and some other great programs you can look into. If you want to know about some of our academic programs, we teach a lot of people all over the globe, everything from how to start a business to how to invest in the stock market, how to buy a franchise. We have a whole faculty, etc. And so you can go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. If you live in Philadelphia, I'll be in Philadelphia in July. You can go to drboycephiladelphia.com. And also the All Black National Convention. Last but not least, the All Black National Convention is going to be held September 29th through October 1st in Louisville, Kentucky. It's all black. It's all us, sponsored by black folks. And we get together and really hammer down our issues. So we bring in business people, rappers, media types, it's pastors, everybody together to really talk about our issues. And that's going down at Simmons College of Kentucky. And it's going to be September 29th through October 1st. So we hope people will consider coming and hanging out with us.
All right, everyone, make sure you check out Dr. Boyce Watkins, and if he's coming to an area near you, go see him. Give him a handshake. Thank him for what he's doing for the community. Well, Dr. Boyce, thank you for joining us today on the show, and let you get on with the rest of your day.
All right, my brothers. Great. It's always great talking to you. The advice show, man, it's what you got here is beautiful, brother. I have so much respect for you. So thank you for having me. It's always an honor.
All right, well, thank you, brother, for joining us on the show today.
For sure. All right. Peace.
All righty. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me make myself big here. I can put myself back on the camera here for a minute. That was Dr. Boyce Watkins. I stated earlier to say, you know what, I'm just going to go live. I mean, I don't really have time to be editing the videos like that. I was kind of fighting earlier because I've been up all morning doing some other things and reviewing comments. So, let me know what you think about the interview for sure. I saw some people. I want to respond to one thing when one person say you can't sue for what happened to Dr. Boyce Watkins. Yes, you can. I'm gonna talk about it on a smaller scale. If I got on here for a whole week and I just hammered one person individually, and I kept calling them racist, and I kept calling this one individual a bad person every single day, so much so because my platform reached just a little bit. Now, I don't have the size of platform of Fox News, but just a little bit that I have, and it eventually started getting to your employer, and people start talking about it, and so much so that people may call your job and get you to lose your job, or your job could be in jeopardy. You cannot make up lies about people and not have proof to back them up in a court of law. You can't do that. That's defamation of character. And when it's me or even someone like Fox News Channel, you can't do that. You can't say freedom of speech. You could say, well, they're doing some things that make them seem that way, or I think they may be this way, but you can't say they are that way, because when you use the words he is a or you are a, that means you have some sort of proof of that. And if he would have sent a cease and desist letter to Bill O'Reilly and Fox News, they would have to shut that down. Because the thing is, as black people, we let these Caucasians get away with way too much. And that's our problem. And the same laws they use against us, you can use against them as well. Because I'm not going to put up with a Bill, well, he's gone, but anybody like that saying crap like that, you're not going to do it. It's just that simple. Well, it's not about being a prosecutor. I'm just saying you don't have nobody to be trying to, especially as a black man, black woman, you got it hard as it is. You don't need that problem, especially if you ain't at the point that you haven't created your own stuff yet. So no, don't put up with that. Not for them folks. But anyway, guys, just wanted to say that. Appreciate you guys watching. I will work on some stories maybe later. We still posting on all three of our channels, because you've been asking me. We posting on the this channel, the Advice Show Media channel, and we're posting on the comedy channel, the Ratchet Video Weekly channel. Yes, we're having fun on YouTube again. It's better for me. I think it's great for me to do that, because I've been feeling some kind of way watching all these stories, especially when, you seeing the brother getting his head chopped off and all the things that I do. It does take a toll on you spiritually to see what's going on with black people. So if I can just laugh a little bit and have fun, that does me very well. And that's why I made a comment over there, and I keep pinning that comment. I don't want to see any serious comments. I don't know about no race. I don't know anything about social issues, socioeconomic class. I don't know nothing about any of that seriousness. I just want to have fun. And I need that. Period. I just need it for myself, just so I can keep going. Because you get to a point you got to take off from this stuff. Like, man, I can't make videos for a while because my spirit is drained. But if I can have fun, then it keeps me kind of at a balance with everything. But we just had a video out of Houston, the Houston Burger King video. I don't know if you saw it, but that Caucasian dude went to the hood to Burger King, and y'all need to see what happened in that video. I thought it was quite funny. So if you're not subscribed to the Ratchet Video Weekly channel, go over there, laugh a little bit. That's what it's about. There's nothing serious over there. We're just having fun. And also we have some other videos of some Neander thugs just doing some straight up Neander thugging. We're going to put up later on today in the mainstream media, not reporting this Neander thugging for real, even when they end up shooting police officers. But Blue Lives Matter, right? But thank you everyone for listening to myself and Dr. Watkins. It was a good stream. It really was. He was spitting a lot of knowledge. We definitely, talk together, and we're going to also do some things together, in the future, because, we have a lot of similar ideas, and he's a good brother to work with, and you want to build with your people in your community and, get connections, because we definitely, need that to further the message that we have here. So thank you everyone for listening and taking the time of your day. Maybe you're at work, I don't know. But thank you for watching. And also thank those who have sent us correspondence in the mail. Some of you have sent money orders. Thank you for that. We really appreciate that. Those of you who have on Patreon, PayPal, thank you very much for that. Those of you who have bought merchandise as well in the t-shirt store. We got some new designs coming. I have a designer now who can design custom designs. So I'm just waiting on some other things to come in so we can offer some new shirts with just straight custom designs. So we have a lot of things that's in the pot that we're trying to do here. And make sure you share the channel. Please share the channel with people. Share the videos. We're trying to work hard to get to 1 million subscribers. That's the goal. The next goal we need to get to. And the only way you can get there unless you share. And if you're not on Patreon, please join us on Patreon. We need to hit our 3,000 member goal. We're asking for a minimum of $2 or $5 a month. I have a person that's going to come on, and because you guys don't think I'm serious on some things, I talk about people are watching. There's this guy that's going to come on here, and he's trying to offer funds to get involved. I don't want to do that, but I want you guys to hear from his mouth why I say what we're doing here is important, and folks are watching and folks want to come in. I don't want them to come in like that, but I'll let you see it for yourself, and then we'll talk about that another time. So thank you for watching. See you next time.